Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV, Radio, and watchers, listeners and watchers. I am Mariska du Preez here as your talking head for our Talking Head show. And I am also celebrating a little bit today. Seeing as I'm very newly minted, you can still see the shine coming off me. As a ICF PCC accredited coach. Now, I know some of you might wonder, what the hell is that? So ICF is the International Federation for Coaches, and I am one of the PCC accredited coaches. So within the ICF, we have a couple of different levels of coaches. You have ACC coaches, which are your entry level. Then PCC is the mid-range. And then we have our master coaches at MCC. It takes a wee while to get there. And of course, I am working towards that. And this is but one more step closer. And hence the celebrations. Although you are not necessarily here to hear all about my celebrations, you want to know a little bit more about leadership. And this is part of my internal leadership journey. And now we will take you guys on our lesson for our leadership relational journey for today. And as you may remember, we are looking at becoming a leader. So for those of us that are stepping into this brand brave new world of leadership, finding out what are the things that we need to consider when we are doing this thing. And it is not necessarily our forte because it's not the thing we studied initially. So we have found a few things throughout our journey, and you are more than welcome to go back to the previous lessons that we did in the past. So for today, we have lesson number 3, and we are looking at leadership and how our relationships are changing from being a specialist and working as part of the team now into leadership and becoming the leader of the team. So without any further ado, let's jump right into that. So as I mentioned, this is lesson number 3. You are more than welcome to go and catch up on lesson number 1 and 2. They are on our platform, and you are more than welcome to go and have a look. So we on the train, we have boarded in our first lesson. We accepted that brand new promotion, a little bit like my shiny new PCC. We got our ticket and we have not derailed so far. There's a few more places where we can maybe go off track, and that is what I am going to help us with throughout these lessons. So let's see, what did we do? We got promoted, we looked at our skill set, and today we are looking at our relationships, how they are changing, how they are evolving. And remember, this is not necessarily only when we go from specialist into leader. It is also when we grow within this leadership space. So there's a lot of the lessons that we are covering here. I am focusing a little bit more from specialist to leader, but it also applies when we move up within our leadership space. So what is happening in this area? There's some research that William Gantry did, and in that, the challenge most often mentioned was a relationship issue. For most of our specialists moving into leadership, relationship issues came up. Adjustment to people management, number one, and displaying authority was the things that came up most often in his study. And this covered about 60% of all participants were a little bit apprehensive about these things. And that is why we are discussing that today. So we are stepping into our leadership role from our team BFF role. Yes, we used to do all sorts of things with our team. We went out, we were buddies, we were thick as thieves, and did, well, most everything together in a good team. As part of the team, really ingrained. And now we need to be the boss. So how does that look? And preferably, do not be punching your employees in the face. That would be bad. So that's not what we want. It is really about making a transition, right? We are not in the same pond anymore. We are somewhere different. And for us to help us to go through this transition, there's a few things to take into consideration. We are going to discuss 4 of them. So first off, we need to be clear. Yes, be clear. You will see it is just below the surface of the water. And the reason why it's just below the surface of the water is because it has to do with boundaries. Right. We used to be part of this team. We had really great friends in our team. We had people that we got along with a lot, and maybe some that we didn't get along with as much. Especially in the areas where we had people we got along with really, really well. Because they are now reporting to us, our dynamic is going to change. So we need to set up boundaries anew. It's going to look different than the way it looked before. So we need to take into consideration to do this and be clear about what those boundaries are in order for us, and this is where the relationship piece comes in, to determine what we're going to do with this relationship. So some relationships, it's a little bit like romantic relationships, if you think about it, can handle the distance and some cannot. And that is the same in this space. Some relationships with our friends on our team can handle this jump into us, or maybe you have a friend that became a leader, into them becoming the leader. Some relationships survive it and some not so much. And I want to help us to navigate this in a humane way. So first off is be clear. So boundaries. The next one is be aware. Now, when I talk about be aware, this is be aware how we show up. Remember, we are now standing in a leadership space. Guess what happened? Overnight, you got a t-shirt and on the front of it, it says, I'm a leader. Whether you wanted the t-shirt or not doesn't really matter. That's what happened. And if we are not aware that everybody is now looking at us, remember in our previous lessons, we mentioned this thing about being on the stage. That awareness, really, really important for two reasons when we think about our team. There's a thing called leader-member exchange. Now, within that, it really looks at the high-quality relationships that we have within that space. And I mean, if we've been friends with a team member, or we got along with them really, really well, that quality of the relationship is already high. Now, we might have other team members that we don't get along with as well, or we didn't really work with them as often because maybe they have different skill sets, they don't really work within our space that much, whatever the reason might be. So our relationship in that area is a lot lower. And that has this tendency to have the in group and an out group. So what happens is where we have high quality relationships, we have an in group. That's the people that we are close to. We trust them. We listen to them when they bring up any ideas or any concerns. That's people we are already comfortable with. That's people that we already have a very strong relationship with. Then we have our out group. In our out group, we have colleagues that maybe we don't know as well. We have colleagues that maybe we don't like as well. We have colleagues that may or may not be avoiding us for whatever reason. And in that group, we also do not have very high quality relationships. Now, as a leader, we need to know who's in what group. And we also need to try as best we can equalize these groups, because this plays into the next one, which is be fair. And when I say be fair, it is not equal to be equal. It is be fair. In other words, if somebody steps over the line, regardless if we've done our little bit of evaluation and we know more or less who's in which group, and in the process of sort of getting all of our employees in a high quality group, but within that period, when we're doing that, and even beyond that, when somebody steps over the line, regardless of where they are, we need to treat them all the same, fairly. It does not mean that it's necessarily going to be equal in the sense that everybody's getting the same pay rise, because everybody doesn't necessarily do the same work. If I am giving people a pay rise in my high quality group and it's not fair, they do not deserve it, they get it because, I don't know, I like them, that's a problem, because that is neither equal nor fair. So we need to make sure that we treat everybody fair. Whatever the rule is the rule. And that goes back to our clarity and boundaries, because that makes it easy for us to work into being fair with everybody, regardless whether we were thick as thieves before or not. And then the very last one on these 4 is be prepared. Now, with be prepared, it reverts a little bit back to what I mentioned a tad earlier around the relationships that may or may not last, because sometimes it is just how it is. Some relationships do not actually survive this transition the way they used to be. They change, they evolve. Some of them evolve and they get better. Some of them might evolve and they get worse. So being prepared that that will happen also enables us to not be surprised when it happens. And it enables us to handle it as we go along. So that is around making that transition from our team into our leadership space. Now we are in our leadership space. What do we do with a team? How do we get this team thing to work as a team? Right. And that is where we get to next. And that is leading our team. So for us to be able to lead our team, we basically focus on 3 different things. First off, we have, actually I need to say this side first off. On our slides, we will see we have some arrows pointing all the way, and that is really about direction. So do the rest of the team know exactly what the direction is? And when I say direction, not only the where we are going, but how success will look like once we get there. How does it look like? How does it feel like? How does it sound like when we are successful as a team? And when I'm saying successful as a team, this is not only our results. I know we are individual contributors, or we used to be, right? We focused on the results and the output that we were supposed to give to our team. Success is not only about results. Success in our team is also about how we treat each other. Success in our team is how we handle conflict. All of those things, how we actually brainstorm things, and how we get ideas together, how we have everybody's voice heard. All of these things, even if we get to the end where we thought, oh, we're going to achieve this thing, and we fall short of achieving the physical thing. If we did all of that in a way where we build the team, where we learned together, where we grew together, where we were able to support each other and build better trust and really become a tight-knit team, that's success too. So really defining that direction for ourselves and for our team. And then, of course, the next one is around the alignment. And that's why we have a little vehicle there. Because I don't know about you guys, but when my vehicle's wheel alignment is out, oh man, there's all sorts of things that can go wrong. Now, that's the same with the team. If we don't have alignment within our team, and we don't all necessarily agree, but understand exactly what success looks like and what the direction is and what my function is, how I'm supposed to behave, what I'm supposed to do to help towards the success, and the functions that I'm supposed to perform towards success. If we don't all have that alignment, then, of course, our little vehicle will go absolutely nowhere. Or it might go for a little distance, but it will definitely not do the yards that we want it to be doing. And then the very last one is committed. As a team, each individual within the team needs to be committed to what we are doing. They need to all be in for the long haul and committed to taking the actions that needs to be taken in order for us to see the success that we want to see. And as the leader, it is our responsibility to help the team figure all these things out. No, you do not need to know the answer to all of them. It is your responsibility to help the team figure it out. It's not yours to answer. There is a difference. Right, now that we know which 3 things we are looking at for leading our team, we look at our key motivations. Now you will see that there's 2 circles here, and the one is, yes, gold. If you have a little bit of a reminder on your chemical tables. And the other one is platinum. So I don't know if you guys know about the golden rule, but the golden rule that I know of is treat everybody else like I would want to be treated myself. The platinum rule says treat everybody like they want to be treated. And that is the key for motivation. So when we think about motivation, there are 4 basic things that motivate most of us, and these are as follow. So we have external motivation, and money is the easiest way to show that, but there's other forms of external motivation as well. It might be being recognized, it might be a whole lot of different things externally. So it's things that we get from outside of ourselves. Then the next one is intrinsic. So that's on the other side. Now for our intrinsic motivation, this is really about the things that give us joy, that we find fascinating, the things that we are drawn to. That's our intrinsic motivations. Then we have our introjected motivations, and these are things that we look at for ourselves. So for instance, when we think about these, we can think about things we think should happen, or things that we would be ashamed of if it doesn't happen. So things where we feel that we are true and authentic to ourselves. And then we have our identified motivations, and these are more towards our goals, our values, our purpose in life. So that is the 4 main forms of motivation. And understanding our team's way of being motivated helps us to know what things to focus on when we go back to our direction, alignment, and commitment, to help each member in the team to go through all 3 those phases. So that is how we go about with our team. First of all, getting out of the team and looking at how our relationships worked beforehand, and then helping our team with not only our individual relationship with our team members, but also the team as a whole with each other. Now, if our team members know what motivates each team member, don't you think it would be a lot easier for each of us to be able to take a little bit responsibility how to motivate each other, which makes it so much easier on, yes, you as the leader. So this is a very helpful toolbox to actually share and help your team with uncovering as you guys grow together. And that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. So if you still need to go back to the other 2 lessons to go and have a look at what we discussed there, you are more than welcome to do so on the USA Global TV and Radio platform. And of course, if you have any questions and you need some answers on anything when you move from your specialization into leadership, or even, as I mentioned, if you move higher into leadership, please do contact me. And you can get hold of me via my email address, which is mariska@journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also connect to me via my LinkedIn. Please write me a little message and say that you came across some of my content here on USA Global TV and Radio, and I would love to start a conversation with you to see how I might be able to help you become the leader that others want to have, and of course, the leader that you want to be. And that is the end of our lesson for today. Until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and be great leaders. Bye.